Good. Meeting, please come to order. I'm testing. Can you folks hear all right back there? Adam has got us pretty well set up, I think. We good in the back room, right? Yeah, Lou, that's good. I'm going to open the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Ask the chairperson of the school board to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we have some folks introduce to us this evening. First of all, the folks sitting at the front. I'm trying to get everybody. So if your name is called, just give a signal. And I don't know if everybody's here or not, but Kate Paradise, the clerk, school clerk. Jerry Lesarge, treasurer. Is he here? Oh, he's in the back. Okay. Yeah, he's here. Ann Wiggett, chair of the board. Barbara Astone, who's vice chair, is here. Greg Cook, board member. Millie Nelson, board member. Leslie Robbins, board member. Okay. And then there are folks who are in the audience, I think, who may want to speak. Joanne Melanson, principal of junior or junior high, Daisy Bronson, and senior high school. Okay. And then Crystal Martin, who's the assistant principal at Lakeway. Okay. And Dana Giampaolo. Okay. Assistant principal at Daisy Bronson and Littleton High School. Okay. He's sitting beside you? Okay, good. All right. Then we have a list of folks who most likely will be speaking. Superintendent of Schools, David Bickford, Dr. Bickford is here, superintendent. Tom Mangles, who's the business administrator, is with us tonight. Kelly Nolan, who's the director of student services. Okay, you're up there. Rick Didgood, who's the principal of Lakeway Elementary School. Good. And then Mike Elwell, who's a frequent visitor here. Attorney. Keep us on track. Now, is there anyone else that may want to speak and your name hasn't been, or you haven't been? Okay. Well, you're a registered voter, Dan, right? Okay. And you may not be a registered voter, but you may be called upon to speak. Is there anybody here? Okay, so the folks who are most likely to want to speak need the meeting's permission. So Dr. Bickford, Tom Mangles, Kelly Nolan, Rick Didgood, and Mike Elwell. We need a motion to allow them to speak. Anybody make that motion? Okay, second? Discussion about that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, then these folks have your permission to speak. See, I don't think we need a lot of ground rules. We're supposed to kind of make you aware of the exits to be to your right and to your left, I guess, if need be. This is the deliberative meeting, and it's the time to discuss, to amend, debate. And some things we can change, some things we can't. And I'll read the provisions in a moment. But I think the main thing is, if you have a card, just hold it up, and that lets us know who's the registered voter, and that gives you the clearance to speak and to participate, make amendments, or contribute in other ways if you wish. So we have kind of a good tradition of self-limitations. Just a reminder, there's a mic in the middle there, and if you wish to speak, it's a good idea to line up. And if you are intending to make a motion, you could get it in writing ahead of time, and then we'll require a second before we act on it. Actually, we might discuss it before we receive it in writing. But I think it's important that we keep the discussion to the issue, and if we can limit ourselves to speak as clearly as you know how to, and allow other people to speak before you ask to speak the second time, that would be helpful. That's usually a good way to do it. And keep it on issue. Personal discussion usually doesn't work out well at these meetings. Do they have any questions about that? Okay, so the warrant to the inhabitants of the Littleton School District, the town of Littleton, qualified to vote in the school district affairs. You're hereby notified of the first and second sessions of the annual school district meetings as follows. The first session of the annual meeting, the deliberative meeting, you're hereby notified of the first deliberative session of the annual school district meeting to be held at the Littleton School District, or the Littleton School Cafeteria, 159 Oak Hill Avenue, Littleton, New Hampshire, on Monday, February 1st, 2016 at 6 p.m. The first of the deliberative sessions shall consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of each of the following warrant articles, except for Article 1. Article 1 is the school district officers, and they're posted, board members, 2 board members for 3 years, the moderator 1 year, school district clerk for 1 year, and treasurer for 1 year. So that's the exception. However, if you have a question, we can deal with that. The warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by the law shall not be amended. So if we get involved with that, we have our attorney here, and he can guide us along those lines. Then warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion, and then as amended. And no warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. So the second session of the annual meeting, you're notified to meet for the second session of the annual school district meeting to elect school district officers by the official ballot and to vote by official ballot on the warrant articles as they may have been amended at the first session, to be held at the Littleton Highway Garage, 240 West Main Street, Littleton, on Tuesday, March 8th, 2016, 8 o'clock in the morning. Polls are open from 8 to, they may not close prior to 7 p.m. to act upon the following. So we'll move to Article 2, and the board will be presenting the motion and the second to the motion. To get the motion on the floor, they'll make a presentation or delegate somebody to make the first presentation, then it's open for a range of discussion. So Article 2. So do we have a motion for Article 2? Oh, okay, do you want to come up and, so,
Shall the reports of the Littleton School District agents, auditors, committees, or officers chosen to be accepted and placed on file? I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all right, so then I'll keep that here. Okay, so, Ann, do you want to comment on that first?
I basically call this housekeeping rules. It's that we get reports from auditors and different committees or offices, and we just file them.
Okay, so discussion is in order if you want to, otherwise, just so that we close the loop, there's no discussion. If you're in favor of placing this article, yes, Bruce?
Bruce Hadlock. I'd like to know, you're standing up here and you're not telling the people anything about what the auditor's reports came out of. You're accepting them, but we have no idea if the reports are great, good, bad, or indifferent. And consequently, I think what you should be doing is reporting what you have found and what they reported on to tell the public pertaining to what it is. There's no way we can proceed further without listening to these reports.
Last year has not been completed yet. Audit report for prior year.
Tom, you might want to come up here. And by the way, you're Channel 2, right? Okay, so that will help if everybody can hear.
Is that the website item? Is it on the last year's
You submitted it.
fiscal 14? Okay. The fiscal 15 audit report is not yet complete. Okay. We will have it completed not later than the specified due date by the feds, which is in March, the end of March. The prior year report should be on file at the library. It's been distributed since last year when it came out, and if it is not on the website, we can have a copy put on the website for you.
Well, you're accepting this as the year. It doesn't say what year or anything like this on it. And if you're voting to accept something, we haven't had it done yet. You shouldn't be doing that.
Thank you.
No, not thank you.
No.
I want to know what you're going to do about it. That's the answer to what it is. You can't be voting to do this when you haven't placed it on file. You hearing me? Okay, so you can't vote on this to accept it because you've never placed it on file.
Those for the preceding years have been.
That's not what you're voting on here, though. Not to say it, but.
No.
Yeah, I know, but that's.
Which year are we voting on?
Yeah, well, I
right.
think that would be a logical amendment.
We're here in the
to get in there, wouldn't it?
We're in the year 2016 going to a meeting that might have been on 2015, but you don't have anything in here to say what you're dealing with.
No, the individual reports from the schools, some of the financial reports required for food service and special education will be in the annual report booklet, which goes to press as soon as we have a final budget. So it will be available to you before you vote.
Then you can't vote on this to accept it because it isn't available.
You're voting to put it on the ballot tonight,
You can't put it on the ballot if it is not available.
and you will have an opportunity to actually vote for the vote for the article.
Then I'd recommend you pass over it because you don't have it available.
So, a little more information that some of the reports just aren't ready.
Then they can't vote on it.
And the options are, it's going on the warrant for the school meeting, March 8th, anyway. because we can't take it out. So, you know, it's, I think what that amounts to, they don't have the results of the reports for the deliberative meeting. They'll be available for the school meeting. And then you are being asked to vote at the school meeting on March 8th. Do you accept them or not? After you've had the opportunity to look at them, I would assume, right? Is that, no. Supposedly, everybody's going to have an opportunity to look at these reports between now and the school meeting. They will be available, even though they're not available now. Okay.
Can't vote on it because it's not available.
The audit won't be. So what's the best action here for this article?
My name is Dan. I'm going to parrot Bruce. We're being asked to vote on something that we don't have the information on, and that's just not correct. I think, as Bruce said, you ought to pass over on that.
I don't think you can pass it over.
You can't pass over it, but I mean, we can take action if this is your meeting. So we can amend it. We can.
Well, I think the school board should be amending.
How would you suggest, Bruce?
I'm not getting the big bucks the way the attorney is. I believe what they should be doing is amending the thing on it to say something about it, that it would be, the following information would be on file on it by the regular town meeting. Something of that nature might adapt to be able to do it, but in the future, you shouldn't be doing this.
Okay. Be on file by the school meeting? Is that what you're saying?
They should have it available and on file for the record year of such and such on.
Prior to the school meeting?
That's right. Maybe that would.
Sure, yeah.
Michael Lovell, I'm the school district attorney. Understand Article 2 is not asking whether anybody agrees with the reports or disagrees with the reports. All you're doing is accepting delivery of the reports. And yes, I gather some of them have not been publicized as yet, but will be in the upcoming annual report that will issue between the deliberative and the voting sessions of the meeting. This article is just a holdover. It is, as Wiggett said, a housekeeping article from the old traditional school district meeting days to just accept delivery of the reports. And certainly if people don't want to accept them, they can vote no on the article on March 8th.
Why don't they just amend it on it to include what I recommended on it?
What would that be exactly? What
You
was the
didn't
wording
listen?
of that? I listened, but
Yeah.
you didn't state in a complete sentence.
Well, what
Yes, you
I'm
wanted to.
recommending is the fact that you put it in here that says that the audited report would be put in here on file prior to that, and put in the year that it would be on here, so that it would be in here.
Well, if you want to make a motion to add a sentence in that regard, I think the moderator wants motions to be in writing, but you can certainly make a motion.
I'm not
do
trying to
so.
make the motion. I'm recommending the school board make the motion.
Well, and if that's the case, it's up to them whether they do it or not, but if somebody does it, they just need to put it in writing to the moderator, that's all.
Let me ask you a question, Bruce, before you sit down. Do we have a question about accepted and placed on file? In other words, approved, accepted, and approved, and then placed on file? Is that what we're...
Well, I understand it, that any article that's placed on a warrant cannot be, has to be placed there, and it cannot, you can amend it, but you can't change the basic parts of the words that are there. So you cannot in turn change the basic concept of what you have under it to do it. But you cannot ask the people to in turn leave this on a blank basis out of it and having no information available when you're standing up here in front of us and trying to imply that it's got to be just voted to put on, and it's not accurate because of the fact that you don't have the information available, and the people should be able to have an understanding of what the auditors say.
Well, let me try this. Is this question, there were reports out there, we understand that, of the district agents and the auditors and the committees and other offices that are chosen. So those reports, are we getting the meeting's approval to accept those reports and then place them on file? Is that the question? So in other words, we have agents, or we have district agents, we have auditors, we have committees, various people that are going to be furnishing reports. And are we asking the voters if they want to accept those reports and place them on file? Is that what that means?
I'm asking you, or the board.
Give us a moment here.
What has been explained to me is that the auditor's report for 2015, there has been a delay in receiving it. It hasn't been completed yet. So the auditor's report is not available to be reviewed. However, other reports for the year are available right now to be reviewed at the SAU office and will in fact be put forth in the written annual report booklet that comes out between the deliberative and the voting session in March.
Again, I go to it. I don't believe you people should be doing it that way. I think that anytime you stand up in front of the, I say the public pertaining to what it is, we should be able to look at these annual reports, and we should be able to know what they consist of. We don't know what you're fiscally way overspent out of the thing on it. We don't know what the auditors might have said or anything like this on it. And consequently, that's what you do it under a business-like manner out of it. And it should be addressed in that manner out of it to be able to tell everybody what the financial situation is of what they have done for that year.
Okay, we're going to try to sort this out. Steve, I think you stood up. Okay, go ahead.
Take Mary first.
Hi, Mary Edick. I think tonight we are only voting to put this Article 2 on the ballot. Am I correct on that? We are not voting to do the sentence underneath. That we vote on March 8th. We can do a yes or no.
What do you mean underneath? What's underneath?
Well, the sentence underneath the general acceptance of report. We're just going to put the Article 2, that whole thing, on the ballot. That's what we're voting on tonight. We're not voting an up or down. We can change the language, yes. And here I agree, right.
Okay.
That's all we're voting on tonight.
Yeah, well,
Right. And I
it
agree
needs to be
with
clear.
Bruce.
It needs to be clear what it is we're voting.
Right. I agree with Bruce
Yeah.
that I think since the auditor's report won't be available for the voters to look at before March 8th, is that correct?
Yes.
Right. I think that should be taken off. The auditors should be taken off that. Simple. Want it in writing?
Well, if we come to it, let Steve and then
Okay.
Ann. Yeah.
A thought to simplify it, if we were to amend it as follows. Shall the reports of school district agents, auditors, committees, or officers that have been received and approved by the school board be accepted and placed on file. So if they have received them and approved them, we're voting on those. If they've not yet received them or haven't received them by March 8th voting day, they'll fall till next year.
I think that's a good intention.
Okay.
So whatever they have,
Okay, read that again to us.
basically it's the same as what they are, just adding that bit. Shall the reports of school district agents, auditors, committees, or officers that have been received and approved by the school board be accepted and placed on file?
Okay, so that's kind of replacing the bulk of that, of the wording, right?
Well, not the bulk, it's just inserting.
No, yeah.
And I'm not sure what the original word chosen
Yeah, right,
had to do with anything.
right. So you heard Steve's, basically that's an amendment.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have a second to the amendment? Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay, then we can discuss that a little bit more if you want to. So if you could get that to me, Steve.
Yes.
Yeah.
In legible form.
Well,
That's going to be a challenge.
somewhere in the end. Yeah, yeah. All right, you heard Steve's motion or amendment. Any discussion while he's writing that out? Are you good with that, Bruce?
Not really, because you still can't have, as a citizen, you should be able to supply the stuff, whatever we're voting on, we should have access to it at one of these meetings. We shouldn't be just voting on something to accept something without being able to have access.
I understand what you're saying, Bruce, but all the auditor's reports are on file at the SAU office. Anytime you would like to come up and peruse it,
I understand.
be free.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
The fact is, this is a business meeting, this is what's on here, and you people should print it out when you're asking for acceptance on it. You're not running a school board meeting between people doing it. You're talking about a town business meeting that should be brought up to the general public out of it and told what the situation is.
So I think we're getting language that will clarify the intent.
Yeah, you can't change the basic part.
Right, right. So you Steve, just for a second. So this amendment that we just heard and seconded is the beginning of it stays the same. General acceptance of reports. Shall the reports of the school district agents, auditors, committees, or officers chosen is taken out, be accepted and placed on file, that have been received and approved by the school board. Those are the ones that will be received and placed on file. Is that what your second?
Can you read that to them one more time with change in wording?
Yeah, I will, yeah. Shall the reports of school district agents, auditors, committees, or officers that have been received and approved by the school board be accepted and placed on file? Are you good with that?
Moderator,
Yes.
is that going to be the language underneath the whole language? That sentence, not this sentence also?
Well, the chosen will be stricken from what was published.
Right?
And in its place will be that have been received and approved by the school board.
Okay.
That wording will be added. If we go to that? Okay, all those in favor of placing this motion as amended on the ballot for March 8th? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? Okay, the ayes have it as amended. We'll need the names of who supplied this. Okay, now we're going to Article 3, the operating budget. Who's presenting? before we do that, who seconded? Who
I
seconded?
would second it.
Who seconded? Steve, you did?
I said I would, just to get it on the floor.
Perfect. Okay.
Shall the Littleton School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with warrant or is amended by vote in the first session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $16,870,619. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $16,724,863, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Littleton District or by school or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. I'll move that.
We have a second?
Second?
And Leslie Robbins is seconding.
Yep.
Yeah. And are you wishing to speak on it?
Briefly?
Briefly? Okay. All right. So I'll keep this.
First of all, the budget philosophy for the Littleton School Board is dedicated to a process that accurately represents the actual cost necessary to provide a high-quality and effective education for the students of Littleton. Our educational objectives: a K-12 curriculum integration, incorporating technology in classroom teaching and learning, aligning curriculum with Common Core standards, and a focus on math at Daisy Bronson Middle School and Littleton High School, and science at Lakeway. The priorities for the board is rigorous and competitive academic experience for all students, effective district leadership and fiscal oversight, 5-year facilities management, planning, and implementation, a cycle of regular facilities maintenance, operation and support for a new superintendent, review and refine the budget process, and monitor student achievement and success. The budget overview. The Littleton School District's fiscal year 17 budget totals $16,870,619, or a $528,522 increase over the fiscal year 16 budget. And with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. David Bickford to start going over the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have before you a summary of the proposed 2016-17 budget. And I'm going to highlight some of the increases and the decreases in the budget. You'll see that line 1100, regular education, there is an increase in this line by $226,078. Special education, 1200, sees an increase of $126,228. Vocational education has an increase of $51,987. Co-curricular, $9,554. Student support services, $42,206. Instructional staff support, $40,993. Board and the superintendent's office, $22,118. School administration, $36,420. Transportation, $2,070. And technology, $11,047. Decreases, the budget contains an $11,875 decrease in business services, operations and maintenance, $1,840, and in debt service, a decrease of $26,464. If you will look at your budget summary sheets and you scan down for under salaries and wages in each of the areas, if you look at benefits and taxes, you will see, I'm starting right on page 1. Regular education, 1,100, 200. And echoing down through the remainder of the budget, the benefits and taxes are the lines which show the highest increase. And this is directly related to the increase in health insurance premiums. And that is carried on, you'll notice throughout the budget, the 200, the code 200 is where the majority of those increases take place. I would like Tom Mangles to go over for you the increases in health insurance.
As you can see from the slide, the amount of health insurance included in the current year's budget totaled $1,992,267. That was based on what we were given a year ago in the fall for our guaranteed maximum rate increase. That amount was reduced by the board during the budget process, so we did not budget the entire increase. We were in the range of 5.5% of an increase, and the actual increase was just under 5%. So we did reduce $200,000 out of the budget and needed to put some of it back in. But for next year, we're looking at significant increases in health insurance costs throughout the entire industry. We're part of Health Trust Pool, and the pool has experienced some increases over the last couple of years. Certainly the cost of pharmaceuticals continues to go up. We're getting some really exciting drugs that are helping people tremendously, and they're also costing tremendously. The guaranteed maximum rate increase that we've been given by Health Trust is 15.5%. That represents, based on the census of employees and participation in the programs in November, that's a $575,000 increase over the current year's budget. Later on, you'll have an opportunity to review a collective bargaining agreement with the professional staff, which also includes some health insurance changes. If that article is approved and the collective bargaining agreement is approved, there are some reductions in health insurance costs that carry with that.
This slide is designed to depict what portions of the budget accrue to the different categories. As you can see, it's a person-intensive budget with salaries taking the largest share, benefits taking the second largest share. Salaries taking almost $8 million. The benefits accounting for just about $4.5 million. Purchased services, that is contracted services that we have beyond the service provided by our employees, is the next largest, followed by supplies, equipment, and then debt service and other costs. Question always comes up, what is happening with our enrollment? Our enrollment in December of 2015 stood at 723 students. A year ago, we had 717. So there's just the slightest uptick in students. And for those of you who follow the reports that are made by our principals to the school board, you will know that we have a reasonably fluid student population, kids coming and going. An interesting statistic is the fact that we have 295 students who have been identified as living in poverty. That means that they are eligible to receive free or reduced price lunches. And an interesting statistic which is becoming more and more widely known is the number of children who are homeless. And we have identified 45 children in our district who are homeless, or 6.2%. It's important to know that these are not necessarily students and families who are living on the street, but very often they are lodging with other family, friends in the community, and in some cases outside the community. There is a federal statute that says we must supply education to children who are homeless, no matter where they're temporarily in residence, because it's important to provide as much educational stability to these kids as possible. In our special program enrollment, the Technical Center has 189 students, special education 123, and the Littleton Academy serves 26 students. And Ann, I left my paper on the table. The breakout for the Tech Center.
Littleton 95 and out of District 94 for a total of 189.
Littleton 95 out of District 94. We contract with the NESDEC, which is a New England-based resource for schools and planning, and the projection for Littleton over the next 10 years is a slight decrease over time from 717 students to 611 students over the next 10 years. So we're watching this very carefully. We're looking at the balance between providing quality education and class size and the courses that we're offering. This past year, this current, from the 2014 budget to the 2015 budget to 2016 budget, we had a reduction in staff by 2.75 equivalent. We'll get to that in a minute when we go into the personnel. Right now, I'd like to ask Tom to come back up to explain the default budget. What did I do? I skipped over. Here is the personnel. We have 164 full-time employees, 19 part-time employees. We are proposing a 0.5 increase, and that is a para position at Lakeway School that we're proposing. That would bring our total from 183 this year to 183 and a half next year. That part-time para position will enable us to provide instructional coverage so that we can use one of our faculty members who is going for certification in technology integration to work with our teachers to enhance the kids' opportunities with technology. We realized, particularly at Lakeway last year when we implemented the new Smarter Balanced assessment, that our children did not have the technology skills to give them the best opportunity to perform well on the assessment, and by extension, they haven't been using it in the classroom as extensively as we feel is appropriate. So by adding a 0.5 paraprofessional, part of that duty will go to someone who will work in the library, and the other part will go to needed custodial services.
Also part of this article is the default budget, which is the same as budget as you approved last year, with adjustments required by previous action of the Littleton School District or by law or the governing body. The default budget for this year has been calculated at $16,724,863. The adjustments that were made to last year's approved appropriation are again primarily driven by health insurance. We have another year of the support staff agreement, a small increase in property and liability insurance. Some of that was not budgeted for this year, but occurred anyway. We have a 1% increase in the transportation contract for busing, and the amount of principal, the amount of interest paid on your outstanding bonds will be reduced as the principal is reduced each year. Any questions? And what's next item? Okay, so the sum total of all the changes is $528,522, or 3.2% increase over the current year, the fiscal 2016 budget. The potential impact on your tax rate for the operating budget as it stands is 70 cents per thousand. It's $107.52 on the average house of $153,600, I believe, is what the town has been using in their presentations. So a $107 increase as a result of this budget increase. The final tax rate, of course, won't be set until a year from October. Will there be other information involved by then? Any potential changes in assessments? Any fund balance that may be returned? All those enter into the final calculation in October. Revenue. I should have had a revenue sheet. This is the breakout of the total revenue for all funds, so general fund, or grants, and food service funds. You can see that the vast majority of it is locally raised money, primarily from taxes. That's the $11,277,000, representing roughly 66% of the revenue required for the district. The state has a contribution. We do receive federal grants. We're, in the budget, we're flatlined that at $650,000. The actual amount that we receive varies from year to year, but one of the neat things about federal grants is we only spend the amount that we're appropriated. We can spend no more. So while it might go up a little or down a little, the expenditure will match the amount of revenue, so have zero impact. Most of the miscellaneous district revenue is food service. We also have some revenue that we receive from E-rate, a federal reimbursement program for communications and technology services. Over the last couple of years, we've received some rebates from our health insurance carrier as a result of some Supreme Court rulings and some challenges over the last few years. Health Trust has caught up with that and has been issuing rebates to both the employees and to the district over the last few years. As a caveat at this point, given the amount of projected increase, it's probably safe to assume that rebates will be minimal or non-existent next year. So we just sort this out without the tax revenue, and you can see the distribution of outside revenue and how it helps support your school district. Again, the state becomes the primary player at that point. Sir.
Bruce Adlock. I enjoyed when you spoke in about your board making the different alternatives and what they said about it. From that part, it was very well done as far as that part. I think your kids are getting a good education in the town of Littleton, and we certainly wouldn't want to try to criticize them or the teachers or anything else on the basis of what it would be. I do think that as a group and a board, I'm going to be telling you a couple of things on it. I have a little piece of paper here. I took a ride the other day up and down our streets in the main street in the town of Littleton. I have in front of me here, I can count 45 vacant storefronts, buildings, and office space from one end of the town to the other. This tells you an awful lot about your economy and what the amount of money that is being generated in our community. This is banks that are closing. This is other buildings that are closing. It's not a good economy out there. And I don't know whether you people really understand it who are sitting behind that desk or not, but I'm telling you, 45, and that doesn't take into consideration Hitchner at all, as far as a corporation closing pertaining to it. But consequently, I think when you're spending money and looking at things, evaluating an education is one thing, but I think that you should be looking at some of the other alternatives of what our community can afford to be able to do as well in here. And I'm sure you probably didn't know that there were 45 vacant establishments from one end of the main street to the other. That's an awful lot, and it has a major effect on the economics of your community and what you can do as far as that part too. I got another question I have. A few years ago, it was a requirement that the school superintendent had to make a pilgrimage to Concord every year, and they had to put a rating on your buildings. Is that still in effect?
I'm not aware of that requirement.
There was a requirement that I got told when we were working with the building over here, that the superintendent of schools had to go to Concord and make a presentation, and every building in turn was rated. And I think it was done because of the fact that they rated each individual building based on the fact that they wanted to keep track of all the buildings within the state of New Hampshire out of the thing on it, who is eligible and mostly eligible for state aid out of the thing on it, and they would take the worst ones over the best ones pertaining to it. And as far as I know, no one has told me anything else. I did put a call into the superintendent's office, I hate to tell you this, but he never called me back on the thing on it. And you can check your records on it too. I wanted to ask you about that. And I wanted to know what the ratings were of each one of the schools pertaining to it as far as the town of Littleton was concerned. And I think it's an important thing that you people should be asking, whether you're elementary school or your high school, or what they are rating on it. I mean, sometimes we put a lot of money in here, and I think we get a good bang for our buck on the basis of what we had put in here before. But I think that I'm hearing rumors about the elementary school, and I'd like to know where that stands pertaining to what the superintendent is supposed to go down to the Concord and deliver it and make it, and that's what I understand the rules were. So.
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Well, Mr. Hadlock, you and I did meet one time when you asked to make an appointment.
Yes, I did.
And I was not at all aware that you'd made a phone call.
Are you checking records?
I will check my records. I have been in contact with the State Department of Education, and at no time to my knowledge have I been requested to make any kind of report. I'll follow up on that also.
All I know is what we did when they made a presentation on the schools and what they had to do in here before.
I do know that there has not been state aid for building construction for the public schools in New Hampshire in some years. And in conversations with state representatives, we've been assured that there is scant chance that there will be in the foreseeable future.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
The state, and they're mandated on a lot of rules and regulations. It's a very difficult position for anybody to be in pertaining to it, as well as what you comply what you have to do to educate your people too, as far as that part.
Thank you.
No.
All right, are you ready for the question?
Still open for discussion?
Yes, yeah.
My name is Dan. We were shown a pie chart, and all those slices of pie is money taken from you, the homeowner, whether it's called a grant or state funds. That's all homeowner taxpayer money there. Doesn't matter how it's chopped up or how it looks or how it's painted. The healthcare cost is approximately $2 million. This equates to the 183 and a half employees. I'm just going to round it up to 200 employees. Dividing that into 2 million is about $10,000 plus per employee for healthcare and benefits. Healthcare started out in World War II when the men and women who called themselves government did not allow private employers to give their private employees raises. This was a way around that. They gave their employees health care benefits as a way of giving them a raise. So this is not a natural or God-given right. It's just one of those things that has evolved, and nobody has a right to it. There was also, it said free or reduced lunches. There's no such thing as a free lunch. That's always paid by somebody. The only way it can be free is if one person gives something that they own to somebody else freely, voluntarily. So those aren't free. Those are paid by the homeowners and the taxpayers. The homeless, really, that's a horrible thing to call, because they're not homeless. They do live in a home. They just don't live with their parents. And that doesn't mean that they aren't getting better care in another home. I think the teachers should refuse their automatic pay and salary increases and consider the health care costs as their salary increases and benefits. And I would advise the homeowners who pay taxes, whose taxes the money is taken from them as taxes, to not vote for the proposed budget. Don't, if you're going to hurt yourself, don't hurt yourself real bad. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Bruce Hadlock again. You used some words on getting reimbursed from these funds from the health care that was gave back to the the teachers as well as the school districts. I can't remember the word you particularly said.
A rebate?
You know, there's no rebate. These people in turn that you were dealing with were found in litigation purposes. They were sued because they were overcharging the people in here on it. The teachers got some of their money back. The school district got some of their money back. But this company you're dealing with is not an insurance company. They're not backed by the state of New Hampshire guarantee fund pertaining to it as well, to protect the school teachers on their health insurance or the school districts as well. It's not a good word that you're using to telling them that we're getting rebates, because we didn't get any rebates on the thing. Those were mandated by law because these people in turn were fleecing the public pertaining to it as well as the school teachers. And that in turn is not a good word to be using. You might as well tell it like it is on the thing, but don't use those simple terms about saying you're getting rebates, because you're not getting any rebates. That was a mandated law by the Attorney General's office, by the way.
It's a judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the question? Those in favor of placing Article 3 as presented, discussed on the ballot for the March 8th meeting, those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it, so we'll move on to Article 4. Do we have a motion for Article 4?
Yes.
No, okay.
I move that Article 4, approving the professional staff collective bargaining agreement, be put on the ballot. Second?
Okay, do you want to read it?
To see if the district will vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Littleton School District and the Littleton Teachers Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and reduction in benefits at the current staffing level. For 2016-17, estimated increase from the prior fiscal year will be $66,795. For the second year of the contract, 2017-18, the estimated increase from the prior year will be $164,324. Taken together over the 2-year period of the contract, that estimated cumulative increase from fiscal 15-16 is $231,119. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $66,795 for the upcoming fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits over those of the appropriation at current staffing levels paid in the prior fiscal year.
Okay, good.
Do you need
And
this?
I do, yeah. So we do have a second. Seconded by Ian Wiggett.
Gerald, a question? What
Yeah,
Barbara read isn't what's on the paper. No, it's wrong.
Oh,
Is what she read?
I read what's on the
all right, so let's see where the difference is. Would you read? Well,
I mean, it's close, but it's not.
okay, so where did we differ?
Well, Lenny, you mentioned about a reduction in benefits. There's no reduction in benefits.
There will be, there is. I have to explain it first.
Oh, well,
It has to be in the article.
Which one is the other?
okay, so what is
Presentation doesn't have.
okay, all right. So forgive us, we have two, we have kind of a draft, and then we have the what was actually warned, and I think that's what you guys have.
Is what's actually.
Okay, we're going to read that, and follow along, make sure it's the same.
Sorry, apparently was handed the wrong piece of paper. Okay. Article 4, approving professional staff collective bargaining agreement. Shall the Littleton School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Littleton School Board and the Littleton Teachers Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over those paid in the prior fiscal year. For fiscal 2016-17, estimated increase from prior fiscal year, $66,795. For 2017-18, estimated increase from prior fiscal year, $164,324. Together, estimated cumulative increase from fiscal year 15-16, $231,119. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $66,795 for the current fiscal year. Such sum represents additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels.
Okay, so I would assume you're making that motion.
I'm making that motion,
okay,
yes.
That's corrected, and a second? Okay, Steve, did that...
Oh, yeah, it's just, it was just odd, I mean, obviously it was close, but.
No, okay, good. Thank you for pointing that out. So now you can discuss it. Yeah.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Barbara Astone, Board Vice Chairperson. I was a member of the negotiating team on the teacher's contract, along with Ann Wiggett and Superintendent Bickford, and of course our counsel, Mike Elwell. My role tonight is to describe to you what's in the new contract. I'd like to start off by saying how pleased and even proud I am to report that the school district and the Littleton Teachers Association worked earnestly and collegially to reach this agreement. And this, after all, is the essence of stability and fair business practice. So I'm glad to have been a part of it. And I thank my colleagues for sharing their experience and expertise with me at the time. I'd also like to express appreciation to the teachers for their willingness to address some potentially thorny issues, which I'll describe in detail in a minute. Their interest in working together for the good of the district's fiscal soundness and future stability shows genuine commitment, I think, not just to our schools and children, but to the town of Littleton as a whole. So what does the proposed contract contain? First, the contract period this time is 2 years rather than 3, from 2016 to 2018. This is because both sides wanted the opportunity to understand new regulations concerning excise taxes on certain health care plans, which were expected to come out in final form in 2017. Congress has since pushed back that date to 2020, but that didn't happen until negotiations were almost finished. As you see here, I don't have a slide for this. What I want to say is there are 3 principal changes to the contract this year. One is the teacher evaluation process. Another is the health insurance benefit. And a third is salaries. There are also some various revisions in wording which reflect previous changes, but I won't go into those here in order to save time. The body of the agreement, for anyone who wants to see it, is available here tonight and in the district office. So I'll start with the teacher evaluations. The new evaluation process that's reflected in the new contract will mean more classroom observations for all teachers. They will be focused more effectively where they are more needed, and the whole process will be more efficient and productive. Observations will now take place throughout the whole academic year rather than at the end of the year only. Previously, every teacher received one extended observation in the final academic term. Now, observations will be more targeted. Teachers who are on a continuing contract, that is, tenured teachers, will receive 3 observations with consultations scheduled periodically throughout the year. Teachers not on a continuing contract or non-tenured teachers will receive 5 observations and consultations during the year. Those whose observations indicate a need for more supervision will have another, more extended visit, and there is also potential for an additional formal evaluation, if needed, at the end of the term. The administration believes this revision focuses staff supervision, evaluation, and development where it can be most productive and provide the greatest benefit. So that's the changes in teacher evaluations. Moving on to the health insurance benefit. The district and the Teachers Association have agreed to switch the health insurance program to a high deductible plan provided by a different insurance company. This change will reduce insurance costs overall, both for the district and for teachers individually. For its part, the district agreed to pay a higher percentage of the premium, moving from 81% on the current, more expensive plan to 85% on the new, less expensive one. This change will result in a continuing reduction to the district on health insurance for teachers of approximately $136,000. Should the switch not happen, that is, if the contract is not approved in March, insurance costs will continue to be as they are currently shown in this budget going forward. In terms of salaries, salary increases in the proposed contract are made up of 2 elements. First, a step on the salary scale in each of the 2 years, and second, an additional negotiated dollar amount each year, which is intended to mitigate the reduced compensation from which the high deductible health plan that I talked about earlier would incur. This translates into about 3% the first year and about 2.5% the second year on average, although that will vary from one person to another depending on salary level. In budget terms, for the 2016-17 budget year, the net increase in total teacher compensation will be about $66,000. That's $202,000 in salaries minus the $136,000 in insurance costs. For 2017-18, the increase will be $164,324. There is no additional reduction in insurance costs in the second year, although the lower cost of the new plan does continue each and every year going forward. Those are the 3 changes that we achieved in the negotiated agreement, and I'd like to ask if there are any questions.
Bruce Hadlock, did you, in your negotiations, make any leeway in the event that health insurance goes from year to year, and the fact that you can negotiate it? Because, I mean, most of the time your health insurance continually rises out of the thing on it, and if you don't have a way out, you're stuck with what you got.
Right. Well, this is a contract, and it's a 2-year contract.
No, I didn't ask that.
Well,
I asked if you, in the contract, put it in here.
Yeah, I
said,
haven't finished, Bruce.
Okay, all right.
So it's a 2-year contract, and we negotiated for a particular plan that reduces costs. It does incur some additional costs for individual teachers. but it reduces premium costs for them and for the district. And we are going to try the plan, use the plan for the 2 years of the contract. But we didn't make a 3-year contract because we wanted to see what was going to happen with the excise tax requirement on the Affordable Care Act. That now has been pushed back to 2020, so it will still not be resolved when we negotiate the next contract in 2018.
So you didn't answer my question on all
What was
that.
your question again then?
My question was, did you leave room in your negotiations on the basis of the health insurance, if the health insurance spiked again way up on the thing on it, or way down for a negotiation on an annual basis?
No, we didn't we didn't put in the contract that if insurance costs go up, we need to renegotiate. We didn't, is that what you're asking?
Well, that's the ultimate thing. I mean, the health insurance, you can see what it's done here this year.
Yeah.
It contemplated it'll do the same thing next year pertaining to it. And if you don't have any room for arguments, you're locking us in for something.
For 1 more year. We have the estimate from the insurance company that tells us what the costs are going to be for 2016-17.
Right.
Right. And the contract will extend for 1 more year beyond that.
Okay.
I don't know. They may indeed raise the premium.
Again, that was my question is, in your negotiations, it sounds like you didn't make any allowances to go back in and negotiate. That's what I'm trying to hear.
Right. No, I told you we did not make that change.
So there's no negotiations on the basis of it. If this in turn spiked way up out of the thing on it, you're locking us in for something else. Okay, that's number one. Number two, on the basis of the health insurance in here, I'd like to know, you got it in here for $66,795 out of the thing on it. Does that include the workman's compensation, the unemployment compensation? I did hear the word benefits, but that doesn't lock in any part of that part of it, number one. Am I right?
Those aren't negotiated items.
They aren't negotiated items, but you got to come up with the money. Even if it's in the arrears, you have to pay it. You have to pay
FICA is included.
You have to pay the FICA, and you've got to pay the workman's compensation. You've got to pay all those expenses on anything. If it went back 2 or 3 years, you still end up having to pay it. You have to have an allowance for that part of it that's in here.
That's in the operating budget.
It is in your operating budget, including
Yes.
that? Okay.
This is the change on the budget line
Right.
for salaries.
And the only other question I had on it was, can you legally ask the public to go into something 2 years in advance out of the thing on it as far as monies are concerned?
We've entered into contracts before.
No, I didn't
Yes,
ask.
we
I
have.
didn't ask that. What you've entered into before, you might have. But I'm asking if you can legally bind the people by asking for something year to year out of it beyond that.
According to the New Hampshire Supreme Court in the Sanborn School District decision and subsequent decisions on similar issues, the answer to the question is yes, you can, as long as you present this information to the voters.
And for how long can you do it out?
Well, if you negotiated a 3-year contract or a 5-year contract, which wasn't the case here, but you could theoretically do that so long as you presented that information to voters.
That's what I was trying to find out. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Casey Hadlock. The new company, is that a pool or is that an insurance
I
company?
can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Casey Hadlock. Is the new company actually a company or are we part of another pool again on the health?
In school care,
It's school care and it's.
Which is a pool?
It is a pool,
So
yeah.
did we look to go out on our own so that we stand on our own instead of a pool? As you can see, the last time you were a member of a pool, Mr. Mangle said that the pool as a whole operated not good. So did we get quotes on just with a regular insurance carrier versus a pool based on the losses of our own district versus the losses of the pool where Manchester may have had large losses or anybody else?
But what is the question?
Not for this negotiated agreement, no.
So the difference between a pool
Yeah.
and an insurance company is that the insurance company is going to rate based off from just your district, just Littleton, SAU 84. When you join a pool, you're pooling up teachers from Littleton, New Hampshire to, could be Manchester, could be Lebanon, could be anywhere. So I was just wondering if we got quotes based off of our own losses with just our own district to see if it would have saved even more money.
Yes.
And do we know how those rates came out?
They don't rate across districts, even though it's a pool, they rate based on your experience in this district.
Well, would you explain it, please, because I'm not familiar with it.
The pool does not rate across districts' experience. They rate based on each district's experience. So they did get rates, and there are set rates from the school care pool, but the rates are based on this district's experience. The district had to provide all of their experience information from the previous insurer to the school care pool so that they could do that.
So but the last pool we had, according to Mr. Mangles, is they had a poor performance across the whole pool, and that's why we saw such large increases.
Well, the health trust provider, the pool that I think you're referring to, the one that's in place at the moment, I don't think he was saying they did a poor job, but I think what he was saying was it had been concluded legally that they had charged too much, they retained too much money, and that's why it had to be returned.
All right. I think those are two separate items anyways. One, I don't sell health insurance. I just think that it would behoove you in the future to actually look at regular rates with regular insurance companies versus the pool, because again, you could be eating up somebody else's cost of the bad rate still somewhere else. When you're pulling together, it has its benefits when it's good, but when it's bad, you can obviously see what just happened with the last pool that you were in. Thank you.
Yeah, Ron LaHoot. I just wanted to clarify one thing. This is a 2-year contract, correct?
Yes.
So if insurance rates do spike, you'll have an opportunity to renegotiate at the end of 2 years?
At the end of 2 years.
Okay,
yes.
and also this is kind of a side note, it was interesting to learn tonight from Mr. Hadlock that there are 45 businesses that are vacant on the Main Street. I guess I must be having wool pulled over my eyes because I went to a meeting the other night to support the Riverwalk, and I was told that it's the fullest it's been in years.
I'll take
Thank
you
you.
for a ride tomorrow. I'll take you for a ride tomorrow. Okay. The other one on the insurance part, if in fact you're telling us that this insurance is only based on the experience that's happening within our own district out of it, if in fact this insurance company goes belly up, I'm sorry, it's not an insurance company, but let's say they go belly up on a thing on it. Are you going to take, and is it going to be affecting us where we got to participate in the expenses of the entire process of it going belly up? Or is it just on our own? Can you tell us that?
I've never heard anyone even suggest or hint that school care is going to go belly up, as you put it. But the point is that school care quotes a rate, guarantees that rate, that's what the rate will be. If in the second year the rate were to go up too much for whatever reason, then when the board is negotiating the new collective bargaining agreement, which would be in fall of that second year, at the beginning of that second year, presumably they'd be looking at a different insurer.
I used to write all the school insurance around here. During the course of it, right in the middle of the year, one of them went belly up, okay? So you may not have experienced it what we have in the past, how the thing on. Now, one of the things that you have to be very concerned about is if it goes belly up, the teachers have no guarantee fund out of the thing on it. And as a result of what they have placed you in and you've negotiated for, there's no guarantee. If you go to a regular company and you are buying your insurance on it, there's a $300,000 guarantee that if your health insurance went bad or something of that nature on it, it's the same way with auto insurance, fire insurance, or anything else on it. But the way they're exposing it, or you're exposing because of your negotiations between unions and this board, if they went belly up, be prepared to dig in your own pocket, I'm telling you that, because there's no guarantee fund with this. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Our attorney has advised for clarification that this is just a housekeeping item. On the that last paragraph, where it says, and further to raise and appropriate the sum of $66,795 for the current fiscal year, he's suggesting that that be specific to 2016-17 year. Instead of the current, yeah. To take out the word current and put in those years.
Which is delineated below. Yes.
So you're saying that would be redundant?
Well, he's probably right in what he's saying, Bruce. Sorry, Steve Kelly. But obviously, if you read down through it, there's no question about what the intent is, because that number lines up with the 2016-17 fiscal year line.
Okay, so I think that's the point. If there's no confusion, you good? It's not going to hurt anything. Be better if we have 216-17.
Yeah.
So you want to?
Would you like me to make that motion?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would make the motion that we amend the wording in the initial paragraph to change current fiscal year to specify the fiscal year 2016-2017.
Okay, so we'll take out the word current and put in 2016, 2017. Do we have a second to that? Let's see if we can handle that amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no? Okay, so that will be inserted when we get this on the ballot.
Yeah.
So does someone, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Somebody else want to speak?
Yes, this is not a question for Barbara. This is a question for the viewers, the homeowners who are watching this. I would like to know how many of the HAT union members, that's the Homeowners Against Theft Through Taxation, get salary steps year after year after year. Teachers are well paid, better than most of the homeowners, the union members, taxpayers. So I would suggest to them that they vote this down when it comes to that time at the polls.
Any further comments, questions? So on Article 4, we've made one change, 2016-17. You ready for the question? All those in favor of placing this article as amended with those dates, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no?
No.
The ayes have it, so we'll move on to Article 5.
Hi, I'm Millie Nelson. Article 5, shall the Littleton School District, if Article 4 is defeated, authorize the governing body to call one special meeting at its option to address warrant Article 4 cost items only.
Motion and a second.
Motion?
Good for a second? Okay. So that's in case this doesn't get, Article 4 doesn't get passed, so that's that. Article 5 is just in case. So do we have a discussion on that? Oh, okay, who's first?
Mary Edick, what would the special meeting be?
That would be if the budget was not passed.
What would that be? Would that be
Not
just
the
the
budget.
board members?
The contracts, yeah, the contracts.
Would it just be the board members? Or would it be a voting special meeting?
Be everyone.
Okay, I would suggest, well, I haven't written it up, because there is cost to this, having a voting meeting, about a $2,000.
Yep.
And that should be in here.
Okay. All right, so the,
You can't.
by law, I can't put that in it. Okay, you can't change it in any way because.
So, okay, my question
Yeah,
is,
okay.
do you have $2,000 in your budget that you could take from somewhere? I'm sure. You'll find it, okay.
We'll find it.
All right,
We have
thank
to.
you.
Okay, all
Okay,
right,
thanks.
thanks.
My name is Dan. I wanted to say to the homeowners that this, I was going to ask what the cost of calling a special meeting was, and we found out that it's probably going to be around $2,000 plus or minus dollars. So I would suggest to you that you vote this down also, so that that isn't more money that's going to be taken from you, because if it's taken from a special fund, they're going to ask for you to reimburse that fund at a later date. So you can vote no on that one also.
Ready for the question?
Bruce Hadlock, I'd recommend you take the words Article 4 out of there on it, from that end. I believe the fact that the school board should be able to have a special meeting at any time, if you wanted to, for anything. And I don't think it should be on the basis of this particular item in here. I think you could not include the word warrant Article 4 on the thing on it, and that allows you to have a special meeting if deemed necessary. If you had a boiler that went bad, if you had a roof that went bad, if you had anything, you could have a special meeting out of it, but I don't think it's necessary to have one just to conduct it on the basis of this.
So we're informed then that it's the operation of the law that says you can't do that?
No, that's
No?
not true. He's talking about a money article. You can change what is in here on the meeting in the intent.
No, sir, with all due respect, that's not correct. RSA 197.3, paragraph 3, specifies in quotations the language that's in warrant Article 5. You can't change it. It's language prescribed by law, so that's one of the things that you just can't change. You're right that there can be special meetings for other things, if the school board calls
not if you don't
special
vote on it.
meetings, but this language is prescribed by law and therefore can't be changed.
Okay, but from here on out, I would put it in the other way. This allows you to be able to have special meetings. You never know what you're going to run into, and you should be able to be in a position of doing it. Whoever wrote this article, I still think it's wrong. Thank you.
Ready for the question? Question is whether we're ready to place this on the warrant for March 8th meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. The ayes have it. Article 6.
Hello, I'm Leslie Robbins. Thanks. Article 6, School Facilities Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund. Shall the Littleton School District raise and appropriate up to the sum of $50,000 to be placed in the School Facilities Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund created March 16, 1993. Such sum to be funded from the June 30th, 2016 unassigned fund balance or surplus available for transfer on July 1, 2016. The current balance in this account is $180,702. And in the past, we have used these funds. In 13-14, we did a roof replacement at Lakeway, so we use it to keep our facilities in good shape. Thank you.
that on the floor. Did we have a motion? You were making the
Oh,
motion.
I've got to
Did
make a
we?
motion, I'm sorry.
And the second.
So moved.
Okay, so we've already heard your discussion, right? Okay, you got a second. Is further discussion by you?
Unless people have questions, I'm
Okay.
happy to.
Any question before we bring it to a vote?
The school has currently, my name is Dan, the school has currently been giving back money it has taken over and above what was needed. So I suggest that this isn't needed as extra money, so I would vote it down.
All right. Further discussion?
Ron LaHood, I just want to make a comment for the general public that's watching. I am a taxpayer, I'm a homeowner. I graduated from Littleton High School in 1976, and I think the school board has done a heck of a job in due diligence preparing these warrant articles, and I hope the town embraces them come that election day. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of placing Article 6 as presented on the ballot for March 8th, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. We'll move to Article 7.
Hi there, I'm Greg Cook. Article 7, Replacement of Equipment, Capital Reserve Fund. Shall the Littleton School District raise and appropriate up to the sum of $30,000 to be placed in the Replacement of Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, created May 24th, 1984, such sum to be funded from the June 30th, 2016 unassigned fund balance surplus available for transfer on July 1st, 2016. Any questions? Okay. The current balance is $102,704. Historically, it's been used for things such as in 2013, it was used for the new Lakeway Playground, and in 2008, 2009, it was used to replace the bleachers here at Littleton High School in the gymnasium.
Questions?
My name is Dan. If you'll notice on the article, the second to the last line, it says the word surplus. No government agency should have a surplus of money. That means that they have taken money from the homeowner, taxpayer, that was not needed. That means that the homeowner taxpayer did not have that money to use because it was taken from them.
Further discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of placing Article 7 as presented on the ballot for March 8th, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it, and therefore it will be on the ballot. So unless there's something else to come before the meeting, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, well, that is, yeah. Is that the right thing? Adjourn or postpone till the election? What? Adjourn. Okay, this portion of it, adjourn. Anybody want to make that motion? Motion. Second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Good night. Opposed? No.